Third Amendment to the U.S. Constitution. Every word of the Constitution decides a question between power and liberty. James Madison, father of the Constitution, and fourth President of the United States. The Third Amendment demonstrates the validity of Madison's assertion. No soldier shall, in time of peace, be quartered in any house without the consent of the owner, nor in time of war, but in a manner to be prescribed by law. The Third Amendment is part of the 1791 Bill of Rights, but few people know it exists. Courts rarely use it in their decisions. But this amendment tells an important story about American freedom and protecting our homes from government intrusion. Before America became independent, the British government passed the Quartering Acts in 1765 and expanded in 1774. These laws forced American families to let British soldiers live in their homes and provide food, drinks, and beds without compensation. This violated an Old English rule that "a man's house is his castle," written by Sir Edward Coke in 1628. This concept had protected people from government or military intrusion into private homes since the 1500s. In 1763, just 2 years before the first Quartering Act, British statesman William Pitt declared, "The poorest man may, in his cottage, bid defiance to all the forces of the crown. It may be frail, its roof may shake, the wind may blow through it, the storm may enter, the rain may enter, but the King of England may not enter. All his force dares not cross the threshold of the ruined tenement." This statement showed the British belief in the sanctity of one's home, at least for Englishmen. The Quartering Acts treated colonists as possessing less rights than Englishmen. Being considered second-class subjects of the king truly grated on the colonists. The Declaration of Independence listed one of the 27 complaints against King George as keeping large groups of armed soldiers among us. The Declaration of Independence listed one of the 27 complaints against King George as keeping large groups of armed soldiers among us. After the Revolutionary War, people remembered how the British had forced soldiers into their homes. When the first Congress convened in 1789, Bill of Rights debates ensued, as James Madison and others went to work keeping their promise to add rights protections as amendments if the Constitution were ratified. During the Bill of Rights debates, South Carolina Congressman Thomas Sumter was influential. Sumter was a Revolutionary War hero who had fought the British, earning the nickname the Fighting Gamecock for his battlefield bravery. Sumter said Americans needed constitutional protection from having soldiers forced into their homes. Without this protection, Sumter argued, people would be at the mercy of men who might get angry and destroy the peace of the family. Sumter's arguments were instrumental in the birth of the Third Amendment. After the War of 1812, Thomas Sumter would be honored when Fort Sumpter in Charleston Harbor was named after him. Ironically, this fort, on April 12, 1861, would be the site of the first shots in the American Civil War, a conflict that would test the very constitutional principles Sumter had helped establish. The Supreme Court has never made a major decision based on the Third Amendment. Engblom versus Carey in 1982 is the only appellate court case decided by the Third Amendment. National Guard members were given the apartments of striking prison guards. This was found to violate the Third Amendment. Third Amendment violations have occurred. During the War of 1812, and the Civil War troops were quartered in private homes without congressional authorization. Congress later acknowledged War of 1812 violations in 1822, authorizing compensation for Third Amendment violations. Some think the Third Amendment doesn't matter since we don't have problems with soldiers living in people's houses, but it continues to be relevant. The Third Amendment contributed to the foundational principle that Americans have a right to privacy in their homes. In the 1965 case, Griswold versus Connecticut, the Supreme Court relied upon several amendments, including the third, to recognize privacy rights not specifically written in the Constitution. The Third Amendment's protection of the home as a private sanctuary demonstrated its continued vitality. The Third Amendment relates to modern concerns about police militarization. Police acquisition of military equipment, weapons, and tactics raises questions about the relationship of armed government agents and citizens. The amendment's restriction on quartering soldiers in homes speaks to concerns about maintaining boundaries between civilian and government authority. The Third Amendment reinforces the concept that your home is your private sanctuary with a special place in American constitutional law. This supports other constitutional rights, particularly Fourth Amendment protections against unreasonable searches and seizures. Supreme Court Justice Joseph Story, an important legal scholar of the early 1800s and author of commentaries on the Constitution of the United States, explained the Third Amendment's importance. This provision speaks for itself. Its plain object is to secure the perfect enjoyment of that great right, that a man's house shall be his own castle, privileged against all civil and military intrusion. The Third Amendment is both history and law. All elements of the Bill of Rights deserve protection. As government power grows and security concerns change, the Third Amendment's message about limiting government action in private spaces remains vital. In conclusion, the Third Amendment is not merely historical. As Madison said, every word in the Constitution reflects the balance between the power of government and individual liberty. The Third Amendment resolves that power in favor of the citizen. Though times have changed, respecting home privacy remains crucial. Stay informed and advocate for your rights. Like this video and subscribe to this channel.